Hi everyone, welcome to my second tutorial. Welcome to my second tutorial. Pretty sure it's going to be a vast improvement on the previous one, just because, well, as anything we do, we just get better at it the more we do it. So I've learned lots from my previous tutorial, and this time we're going to be converting color photo into black and white, but leaving some area in color. A splash of color, an accent of color, others call it. It's also a technique called selective color. So there are many apps that allow you to do that fairly easily, but I prefer the control that Photoshop gives me. Yeah, as with most things, if you choose an app that does things automatically, well, it's going to be an interpretation of what they think you want, and well, that's a little bit. It doesn't always work. Right, so this is the image we start with. It's a graffiti by an artist called Mighty Mo from London. He is mostly active in East London and paints lots of monkeys everywhere. Chose this photo because I think the monkey will make a great focal point with everything else converted in black and white. So the first thing I do is to duplicate the layer. And what I will do is convert the initial layer, the layer that is below, to black and white. One little tip I can give you is to try and rename your layers when you're working, because I never do. It gets really confusing. And here I will be calling the layers top and bottom layers. There you go. To convert to black and white, I will add a clipped adjustment, choosing the black and white and using the sliders for each color channel. That gives me a very fine control to decide on a suitable look. I really recommend that you play a bit with that. And in general, when I convert my photographs to black and white, I really like to use this option instead of just going with a automatic black and white conversion you get in most apps. I prefer to decide how I want my black and whites to look. Now we go back to the layer on top, which is the layer which is still in color. And what we're going to do is create a mask for this layer. And using this mask, we're going to be deleting the color of the top layer to reveal the black and white that is below. And gradually we're going to just get closer and closer to the edge of the monkey's head with a finer and finer brush with less and less hardness in order to achieve a very clean result. So I'm going to set my hardness to 100% for my brush to start with. Opacity is at 100%, so I'm happy with that. And I'm going to go ahead with selecting the right size for my brush, pretty large size to start with, just to get the bulk of the edges of the photo converted to black and white. And let's just fast forward this a little bit. Right, so we've got rid of most of the color in this photograph on the edges, and now I'm going to be reducing gradually my brush and zoom in on the photo and remove more of the color. And increasingly more, I will reduce my size of brush and the hardness as I get into more detail and as I zoom more and more and more towards the edge. Quite a while ago, I used to not even know about masks. And in Photoshop, if you don't work with a mask, anything you delete is deleted. Whereas with a mask, you're able to use a dark brush to delete. But then if you switch it back to the white brush, then you can bring back whatever you've deleted. So it means you never go too far and never do anything that you'll regret later. You can always correct your mistakes. This is a really simple process. It's not simple because, of course, you have to have attention to detail and be very precise and careful in what you do. But if you do, it's a fairly simple and quick process. There's this entire conversion, lasts 15 minutes at the very most. And as you can see, immediately the fact that the edges are black and white means that your eye is focusing a lot more on the monkey itself. Not that before you would have been looking at anything else but the monkey, but just really draws the eye in. And that's what selective color does with, well, any photograph that you wish to play with. Okay, so now we have the image that we are happy with, at least with deleting the color. But I'd like to work a bit more on the black and white layer. So going back to the bottom layer, I'm going to add a clipped adjustment and work a little bit with the curves. I like to do an S shape with the curve. Generally on photos, it's just, I don't know, it just makes the contrast more to my satisfaction in general with most photos. And now with selecting the top layer, which is what is left in color, essentially the monkey's head, I'm going to add a clipped adjustment and work on the hue saturation, and that's something I really enjoy doing. First of all, here you see I'm increasing the saturation or reducing it, and you see the effect. But you can also play with the hue slider, and that's quite fun because it just changes the entire color and can produce quite a different result. And I recommend anyone plays with hue saturation. It's quite a fun tool to play with. But I think in this particular instance, I'm quite happy with the original colors, and also because I don't want to really disrespect the artist's original intentions. Why would I change the color of something he intended to be as a particular color? So in this instance, I'm just going to get rid of it. It was just more to show you the hue and saturation slider. And you can also play with the clipped adjustments. Instead of choosing hue saturation, you can choose the curves, as I showed you before. So for this one, it's just going to add a little bit of punch, a little bit of contrast, a little bit of saturation. And another adjustment I like is the color balance. With the color balance, you can achieve quite a lot in terms of modifying the color, making fine adjustments to your color. So I select the bottom layer, which is now our black and white layer. And to that layer, I'm going to make a modification of the color balance. And what that will do is just change the color balance of the black and white layer. So the background, but not at all the color element, because I'm only working on the layer which is in black and white. And I recommend that you just play around and find a color that you like if you wish to change the color. Otherwise, you can just ignore this and just keep the background in black and white as it was. So in this instance, I'm just going to delete this color balance adjustment. It was more, again, to show you, but I'm quite happy with not modifying it any further. So this is it, really. I hope that you found that interesting, easy, and that you'll be putting it in practice onto your photos. It's a great way, you know, at the moment, with us all being locked inside or on the verge of going back into lockdown, not necessarily able to take as many photos as we used to. With this, you're able to play with some of your old photos and hopefully create some some new exciting things. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel, like this if you enjoyed it, and share it to everyone you know.